Hello and welcome to the Discovering Your Heart podcast. My name is Bianca. I'm so thrilled to be here with you, sharing the medicines of amazing thought leaders from around the world who have been on incredible hero and heroine journeys to return back to their heart's desire, call, soul, purpose, dharma, through different stories of trials and tribulations, ups and downs, all arounds. To eventually come into deep aligned devotion to their craft, to their work, and sharing about their beautiful gifts to the world in this moment. And today I am excited to be speaking with beautiful oracle and muse, Isis Indriya. Isis Indriya was born in Mesa, Arizona, and raised on Guam. She's a devoted advocate of prayer, education, and community activism. Her lifelong pursuit of connecting with the spiritual realms led her to study mythology, breathwork, and ancient mystery traditions. She's spent over 20 years organizing events, building community, facilitating ritual, and in education of the mystic arts. She has worked with renowned wisdom keepers from around the world, hosting rituals for large gatherings of up to 30,000 people. Isis serves as minister, culture creator, lead producer for The Compass at Lightning in a Bottle Festival, bridge builder, and fireplace keeper for the Oracle Clan. She shares her wisdom globally through various platforms, including her school, the Academy of Oracle Arts, her online platform, Ritual Community, and leading pilgrimages to Egypt.
Welcome, everyone, to the Discovering Your Heart podcast. And it is my greatest honor to have you here today. Isis, I'm so excited to go into your story, your sharing, your passions, your highest excitement, all those things. And so I'm going to hand it to you to open up our podcast today with a prayer.
Thank you so much for welcoming me here. I feel very honored to be here. So I'm just going to light some cedar here from these ancestral homelands of the Nisenan. Just want to say greetings and gratitudes to these ancestral homelands here of the Nisenan. This area, Ulicha, and the neighbor here, Ustama, neighboring lands, Ustama, and also to the ancestral homelands of Costa Rica, and all the ancestral homelands of all those that are gathered here for this session and who take the time to listen to this. Thank you to all of the holy ones of all of these ancestral homelands. And that way, I just want to say thank you to both of our benevolent, elevated ancestors, guides, and allies. And that way, how our benevolent, elevated ancestors, guides, and allies have brought us into this podcast in relationship to the magnificence, the intelligence of the heart. That way, I just want to say thank you to all the holy ones of the 8 directions in the 3 worlds, to the east, to the southeast, to the south, to the southwest, to the west, to the northwest, to the north, and the northeast, in the upper world, star nations, sun, moon, star nations, in the nether world, and in this middle world, in service to cosmic law, cosmic truth, cosmic order. Mot. Thank you to the Oracle and the Oracle Council, and the heart, the spirit of this podcast, and to Bianca for bringing us forward here today. And may everything that is shared here be helpful for our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, be useful, be practical, be beneficial, and of great support and service to each and every person that listens to this. And in that way, may everything that's shared here too be an offering into the web of life on behalf of the liberation and upliftment to all beings, human and non-human, tending to and weaving beauty in the past, strengthening our time in the present, and supporting beautiful offerings, beautiful weavings for infinite generations into the future. Blessed be, and so it is. All right. Thank you.
Could feel all the ancestors with us, all the spirits. So thank you for calling them in and putting so much intention behind this conversation we're about to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'd love to begin, Isis, just by allowing you to kind of freely share a little bit about yourself and maybe focus on going a little bit into your story. I like to begin our podcast like that. Just, journeying into the heart is a process. For some of us, that kind of switch where we align to our greatest mission and the voice of our heart happens at a younger age. For some of us, it happens later. But it seems like there's a pattern where there's kind of a moment of transition where the heart calls us forward. Would love to hear a little bit about you in whatever way feels exciting to express, and then a little bit about the story that has brought you to where you are, and we'll go into where you are today. What's going on?
Thank you. I love that this is all about the intelligence of the heart. It feels so important. So thank you for devoting your time and your energy and bringing so many people together for this. So I just want to say thank you for that. My name is Isis Indriya, born in Mesa, Arizona, raised on the island of Guam, Guahan, 3/4 Chamorro, which are native to Guam, and 1/4 German. And inside of all of that, there's like all kinds, Spain, Spanish, and Castilias, and Basque, and Peruvian, and Colombian, and Thai, and Indonesian, and North African, a little bit of Egyptian. I mean, it's just wild, when we look at the layers and levels of our bloodlines. But I come here on behalf of my ancestors and, Chamorro people as an islander. And, of course, the ancestral homelands of the Nisenan. This area is Nevada City, California. And so I come here to share my story, where I would say my communion with the unseen deepened. I believe as children, we're always in communion. And then sometimes we forget. But my mom died when I was 4 years old, Deborah Nacke. So I just want to say her name here. And when she passed, of course, it was the most intense thing I've ever experienced. And my desire to commune with the sacred or commune with the unseen has always been guided by her, really rooted in connecting with her. And, so, the heart breaks and then it keeps breaking, or mine did. My heart broke and kept breaking and kept breaking open. And with her and through her as my primary guide, led me to learn about how to commune with the other side. It's been a long journey. It's still that way. I still call upon her every single day, And in my life journey, a lot of close people have passed. Part of my life journey has been how to commune with death, and how relations that are very close to me have become guides. Ones that I live with, like one of my dearest friends, Heidi Murphy, we call her Pixie. She also is an ancestor on the other side. And there's like a whole crew. And, being 4 years old and having, your mom pass, I think it takes a long time, at least did for me, to really understand what that meant. And I went through at a pretty young age, an intense, I would say, depression of some kind, not knowing, feeling longing, feeling loss, not really quite understanding what that meant, wondering where my mom is, And over time, I found the way to help myself really was to commune with the sacred in some way, in some form, whether it was in the natural world or in a church or in a temple. And I kept finding ways and bringing my dad really to commune with the unseen. And my dad, Clifford Guzman, he's amazing. He was just an incredible father, such an amazing guide, thank God. And, he would just he would just let me lead in how I wanted to commune, and he would support me that way. And I remember when I started getting into astrology at a pretty young age. I was 16. My aunt, she was really into astrology, and she was teaching me about it at a very young age, particularly Western. And then I moved to Seattle to go to college. And I started learning about mythology, particularly with Joseph Campbell's work and Shakespeare and, you know, the Fae, the little people. I was engaging in a lot of psychedelics at a very young age. 14, I started engaging in psychedelics. And at that time, I was really learning a lot with mushrooms and other psychedelics. And I started putting together a series of events called Sealy Court, which were to honor the little people. Because in my culture, we have little people, and a lot of different indigenous cultures, there's little people. And I was seeing them so much, and they were helping me commune even more with the unseen. So I started doing these events called Sealy Court, which meant where the Fae people or the little people gather to dance. And if a human enters, they disappear for 100 years.
The little people, are they in the scene world, or are they like in a different dimension?
Different dimension.
Different dimension. Okay. And they kind of exist in many cultures, and they're type guides.
Yeah, they're like the terrestrial beings, they're in a slightly different dimension. Sometimes they're fairies or pixies or sylphs or undines in more of the, Isle of Skye, Ireland, Scotland, England region. For us, they're called the duendes. I think in Hawaii, they're called the menehune. And they're the terrestrial spirits of this place. In Egypt, they're called the Akiyu. So I was seeing them, So I started producing these events, and I was studying, and I was also at the time studying stargates and transpersonal psychology. So I started throwing these events, and people would come from all over, and we would, dive into, and each event was in honor of a particular tribe of the Fae or tribe of the little people. And I was studying stargates, and
what is your definition of a stargate?
Well, I believe that we are, as divine humans, we're made up of the soil, the earth, and then we're made up of star relationships. We have star family, we're both. And stargates, the way that when I first started learning about it back then, when I was about 17, was they were particular geometric, at the time, they were geometric copper, like structures that we would get into. And we'd go into this copper structure, and we would commune with a different star system. And it was a portal to commune with star people. And in that time, when I was 17, I'm 44 now, so it's a lot different now. But in the copper tubes were all different kinds of crystals. And so my teacher at the time, Maggie, was teaching us how to commune with star people and star beings through these geometric gates. It's very effective. And then simultaneously was studying transpersonal psychology and mythology, and just kind of how they all work together. That's what actually led me to Egypt. So I'll share that part, and then I'll go back to this other part. And in any moment, just jump in. Yeah. So when I was really young, studying transpersonal psychology and stargates, right around the time I was about to produce these events, my teacher, Maggie, followed her teacher to Egypt. And so then my partner and I at the time sold everything and followed Maggie to follow her teacher to Egypt. And we went on a 3-week initiation journey at like 18 or 19. So I was very young. I didn't even know anything about Egypt. And I was studying Reiki at the time too. And my teacher was telling me that Isis was connecting with me through Reiki. And I didn't even know who Isis was, So that's how that Egypt thread happened. Then we came back and started producing events called Sealy Court. And then my friend Michael was doing events called Star Seeds. And he was like a support for me to learn how to do that, my friend Ed. So then this man, we call him the Archangel Gabriel. This man, Gabriel, he was works with the crystal beings. He saw what we were doing, and he wanted us to work together. And so he brought this crystal to us called the Oracle crystal. And he was like, I want you guys to work together and strengthen the community, because you're both doing 2 different things that are very mutually beneficial and supportive. So we dropped everything and started working together and producing events called the Oracle Gatherings. and they were all in relationship with this oracle crystal ball. So the oracle crystal ball, we started learning how to commune with the crystal ball through different rituals and ceremonies and working with different plants and the art of scrying.
Can you, in a nutshell, explain like why crystals are these oracular tools? Like, what is it about crystals that, like, why are people drawn to crystals? Oh, I need, it's like immediately you feel a connection or you don't to some crystals. And maybe like, is there a way to even express the technology of how they work?
I can do my best. I mean, I feel like I'm their student, but crystals to me are like the one aspect of the intelligence of the stone people of this planet. They carry so many different kinds of information. They've been here a long time. Their timeline of growth is so different from us. We're very young, really, as humans, perhaps in relationship to this planet, in relationship to these stone beings. Some traditions believe we're way older than we think. I tend to think that way also, but in relationship to the stone people, crystals, they carry the information of the wisdom of the ages, and they're like computers stored in them. Yeah, stored information. They're computers. They're in computers. They are the roots of computers, and in a lot of ways, there's a whole communication and technology of the majesty and the intelligence of this plane of existence that I believe they help us understand.
And I guess based on where that crystal lived its life, that's the information it holds.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this one was from Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. Thank you. So let's go back to, you guys have this oracular crystal.
Yeah, we start working with this crystal. I'm 19 or 20 at that time. I get married at 21 with Osiris and then Michael. So it was the three of us doing these events called the Oracle gatherings. And so we started asking the crystal, what do you want us to do? And it gave us a series of 23 archetypes to travel with. And then our friend Jody, who's a tarot queen, helped us distill these archetypes. And so we committed to doing 23 events for however long it took with moving through these archetypes as a community. So some of them were like, the first one was Father, Son, the myth, King's Chamber, imagination. And we would work with the crystal ball each time. It took us 10 years to travel through these archetypes. And with that, we were so young. So we went through tons of transformation. I mean, the first time I ever learned about the grandmother medicine, I think I was like 23. And the way I learned about it was because of the crystal ball. And one of the cards that was pulled, somebody invited me to go sit and pray in a ceremony. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anybody that had worked with that medicine at the time. And so I went and learned, keep learning. So the crystal ball has been a guide for an entire community, hundreds, thousands of people. We would commune with the crystal ball, ask the crystal ball what it wanted us to do. And then we would learn how to listen and pay attention and follow. And during that time, we attracted a lot of different teachers and guides. One of my main teachers, William Kiesel, he's the one that taught me about scrying, and, he's still a teacher of mine.
Can you give a quick explanation of what is scrying for those people who have never heard that word before?
Yeah. So scrying, there's a lot of different kinds and ways of scrying. Scrying is a way to attune into either a crystal or a mirror, obsidian mirror, or brass. In ancient Egypt, they would do sometimes woods or brass, where you learn how to go, I believe, into these other planes of existence to receive information. Make an offering first and then receive information. Some refer to it as Akashic records. Some refer to it to the wisdom in the water and the body. Some refer to it as information coming from the cosmos or looking into other dimensions in this particular plane. It's very comprehensive. Sometimes people are known, like Dr. John Dee and Edward Kelly, to scry and commune with other beings like archangels or angels. So it's a very detailed process. So we were learning how to do that with the crystal ball and how to commune with this stone being and learn and serve, essentially. So all kinds of things happened in 10 years, especially when you're like 19, 20, such a powerful time in all of our lives. So studying, learning, doing these events. And after about 10 years, I before the whole series ended, I went on like a journey. I had to go on my own journey and started studying, working with plants, primarily earth wisdom traditions. I went deep. I was studying hermeticism, hermetic magic, and this was all happening in Seattle. And then I went kind of on my own journey and left and started studying with plants. First, I went to Australia and then lived in Bali for a long time. And then, back to California. And I was guided by plants and what to do. And that led me here to Nevada City because I had another heartbreak open when I was living in Bali, when Heidi Murphy passed. I was so heartbroken. And all I could do was listen to this music called the Pakistani Qawwali music from the group called Fana Fiala. And it's a traditional style of music where where you just kind of dissolve into the infinite. And this music was the only way I could process her passing. It was a very intense time. She died in Bali, and it was very traumatic for a whole community there. We were living there. We were clothing designers at the time and doing events and stuff. And so the way that I could process her passing and her death, and I think it really triggered also my mom's passing and another person that had died in my life, 2 other people, was this music, Qawwali music by Fana Fiala from Pakistan. Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan was one of the musicians who really brought that music to the West. So anyways, they lived here in Nevada City. They were there in Bali, but they were coming back here. And so then I left Bali and went to live on their couch to heal. Meanwhile, the crystal ball was in Seattle. And so I was living here for a while, praying, learning with plants, studying with plants, learning earth wisdom traditions primarily, working really the holy waters here in this land, the Yuba River. I believe that the music guided me here to like really heal on this land with this holy water of the Yuba River. All kinds of things happened, blah, 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 studying, research, everything. And then I got this venue in town and started producing events again. I've been to do an event production for a long time. I still am. And I journeyed with some plant medicine. And my friend Saba was DJing and full journey. And I came home, and for some reason I opened up my computer and saw this article that Chief Arvel Looking Horse wrote to Obama. And it was he's the 19th generation carrier of the White Buffalo Calf Woman prayer pipe in the Lakota land. And this letter he wrote to Obama, basically asking why he's not helping indigenous North American Native people, essentially calling him in. I just started weeping and weeping and weeping. It just sent me like so in such a deep grief. And I hadn't been communing with the Oracle Crystal Ball because she wasn't with me. And then at that moment, the Oracle came. And, which is this being that I work with, a council. And I was like, why is this happening? What is this about? Because I would ask her everything. And then she just sent me on this long journey of learning, which is, I would say that I learned through this crystal ball communing with these beings on the other side. So she started telling me a lot of things. And then from there, I called Michael and Osiris and I was like, I need the crystal ball. Can you bring her? Can I be a caretaker for her right now? And so Michael brought her over. And then through her being here, all kinds of things have been birthed. Ritual Community, our online membership platform, the Academy of Oracle Arts. Why it's called the Academy of Oracle Arts is because the Oracle brings forward the teachers. The crystal ball brings forward the teachers and the content education to study. She's like the computer that sends out messages to people, or the magnetic attractor, however you want to refer to her. And she brings people to the school to teach, to guide, and to learn. So it's for her, it's a legacy. And she started teaching me about the school, and through a group of apprentices or people that wanted to study further, Maz, Laura, Roxy, and Sonia, that led to the Oracle Arts Apprenticeship Program. So we train with the Oracle. So, all these kinds of things. But the thing that's of all of this, that to me to this day, that is like so fascinating, is back in Seattle when we were communing with this crystal ball, all kinds of things. We were learning so much. So one time she gave me a vision. She's given lots of visions, but she gave this like map, this template. And I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a map of a community. Maybe it still is, I don't know. And I just kind of like honored it and moved forward because, I believe that some visions are ours to tend to, some aren't. Sometimes we're communing with collective visions, or be tuned to other people's visions. And part of, I feel like my journey is to learn about what visions are mine to tend to. So anyways, this vision came of this map, and then I was like, over the years and, in the community, at one point I told my friend Johnny Ray about it, and he made it, and then he presented it to me on my birthday, and then we refined it more, and then I'll just share what it is here. And then it came into this form, which is, and I didn't know what it was. This is a smaller version. This is one I've obviously used a lot, but I still didn't know what it was. And when it came into fruition with Johnny and Tasia, my friend Maz came, and she's like, "Hey, I got you this dice. I don't know why, I just thought to buy you this dice." It was like a planetary, an astrology and a numerical dice. And so I threw it on the board, and I realized I could read it. And I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And then my friend Alejandra was like, "Will you give me a reading?" And we had a shop, a magical shop, and crystals and stuff. And so then I started reading it, and then she started booking me for readings. And then I realized that it was a Oracle divination board. And so that's what led to this divination technology, which is now so much of what the school is founded on. And, we're training people to be certified diviners. It's like a whole thing, and it was never like an idea like, oh, I got to be a diviner. I never even thought that, and it's a legacy. So the Oracle now is guiding me and us in her legacy moving forward, which is, we have a clan, an Oracle clan, and the Academy of Oracle Arts, and the Oracle Arts Apprenticeship, and the Oracle Divination Board, and Oracle Ritual Theater. I mean, it's just wild. Like sometimes we, have a purpose or an idea of who we want to be or what we want to do, and but then like something else reveals itself. I feel like, at least for me, and part of my job is to just pay attention, listen, and follow divine directive.
I'm so excited. I'm enthused. I'm inspired. And you're really an inspiration for putting into form your oracular essence, which is so awesome and so inspiring, because, it's such a blessing to receive messages, to be connected, but then to follow through and create an academy and create apprenticeship and create a divination board and certify people as diviners. This is incredible. And so thank you. Thank you for the trust that you have in yourself to transform what you see into real things on this 3D plane, on Earth, on Pachamama. And it feels so much that what you're creating is really where we're going. You're stewarding really this remembrance. And that is really cool. I just want to say thank you. I could listen. I couldn't really listen to you all day, and I'm just really in awe and super inspired by you. So thank you so much. And Yeah, I think something that came up, because everything you're talking about is so amazing. And I'm sure people listening to that are like, okay, like, how do I work with her? Like, how do I sign up right now? Maybe we can, first of all, talk about what is a diviner, and maybe like just take someone on a journey of like what it would look like to join either your apprenticeship, or like, I know you have like different categories to work with. I don't want to like spend the rest of the podcast talking about all the different facets, because there's also so much more, but like just briefly about kind of the different ways, and then take someone through a journey, what it would look like to journey with you, what opens up and for them, and what do they give to, that. So would love to, I don't know if that's a clear question. That was just kept coming. It's like, okay, take someone through a journey on like what it looks like to like walk beside you right now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm literally a servant. I'm a steward. That's like my job. I'm just here to steward the oracle's work. And so my job is to, again, like I said, listen and pay attention and be of service. And, sometimes it's like, intense, because I stand by tradition, and this is it's a new tradition. It technically started in 2001, and that's really new, but it's really revealed itself in a whole new level since 2017. So it's very humbling, and I'm definitely like doing my best every day, but so divination, in the old ways, was from my studies, and I'm always studying and learning. Divination in the term was to commune with the divine. Most times divination is related to like telling the future or telling somebody's fortune or something, but that was a later thing. A lot of traditions and a lot of mystical practices and cosmologies are connected to the art of divination or channeling. And oftentimes that's how they're brought forward, is through channeling or divination. Even the whole like riding a magic carpet, like the whole magic carpet ride, the roots of that are a very consciously woven rug that's the map of the cosmos and the terrestrial realm, and then tossing tools or stones or plants onto the magic carpet and reading the magic carpet. That's how you ride it, is you read it. And, divination is such there's this whole thing called the Mancies. And if you look up on, I think online, you look up Mancy, there's all kinds of way to read and commune with the intelligence of the divine world, the intelligence of the natural world as humans, And so divination is communing with the intelligence of all of these realms. And the old Egyptian tradition, in one lineage, I love this quote. It's from the Sacred Magic. It says, they believe that the greatest human accomplishment was to consciously and coherently co-shape with the divine, the divine, the natural realm as humans, and that the human responsibility was to maintain those relationships. And so learning through the art of divination is learning how to commune to the intelligence of the natural world, like the moment when like the bird came this morning, and where the wind blows, and when we've had that thought, or all of that communication, it's just amazing. And then also with the divine realm, because we're one planet, magnificent planet, circulating around this like incredible sun, that with all these other planets moving in clockwise motion forward in space. So there's this whole multiverse of intelligence, and then the intelligence of this incredible terrestrial realm, and then us as humans. And so like the board doesn't tell anyone what to do. It's not like this is your path and this is the future. It really supports and stands by free will, because part of what makes us who we are is that free will, aspect. And so it's really about the path moving forward, or anything we need to tend to from the past that can help with that, can help with soul contracts and past lives, all kinds of things. It's very, very, very comprehensive. But the board is not to tell him in the future. It's more to learn how to listen and commune with the natural world, the intelligence of the natural world, intelligence of the divine, and the intelligence of our human. And then in relationship to the heart, in the tradition that I study in and am devoted to, the heart is the mediating intelligence with everything, you know? And it's the mediating intelligence that not only communes in the inside of the body, but also like with all of the realms in all directions, internally and externally. And everybody has access, has oracular consciousness. Everybody has abilities, extrasensory abilities. Everybody has it. And through culture and dynamics and programming, a lot of that stuff's gotten shut off. So part of what the Oracle's mission is to help us all wake up to our natural state and wake up to these extrasensory abilities that are who we are, to then be able to attune more to the intelligence of the natural world and the divine world, and as humans consciously and coherently co-shape together, because this is a huge time of transition. All the prophecies, it's like all happening right now. We have stuff to tend to.
Aho to that. And I have like all these files open of things that I want to like ask you about. And if someone's listening right now, like if you just were able to share like one piece of advice of how to start really tuning into our own oracular nature. And by the way, a deeper dive with your going to the Academy of Oracle Arts or the Oracle community. But if you had like one suggestion for someone listening right now, it's like, okay, I want to connect to this center that holds this infinite wisdom. Like, what can you suggest?
I feel like a great, like, natural doorway that's always there is the water. The water doesn't leave. It just it changes form, which is incredible, from solid to liquid to gas. I mean, wow. And the water, we're mostly made up of water, and we are in relation with water every day. The wisdom of the ages is in the water. It's all there and inside of us. And so one thing that I love to do, very simple, every day, very simple. First thing in the morning, well, I do my mantras first thing, but right after that, I have a glass of water and make a prayer. Prayer being, I say my gratitudes. I say thank you to the sun, the new day, in the Egyptian would be Ra or Kefri in the morning. And I greet the day with my sun. And I say all my gratitudes to the terrestrial realm, to our bloodlines, our lineages. And I speak about how I want to carry forward in the day with the water. And I also use cedar in the morning with my son. And then we drink the water. And, some traditions reference that the information of the ages is in the water, in our body, in the glass, in the tea, when we wash our dishes, when we wash ourselves. Every time I shower and bathe, I say thank you to the water. Thank you for this cleansing and this purification. I speak directly to the water every time. And I speak my gratitudes because, water's life, as we know, and it's the life-giving holy mother that births everything, is the water, So that's a really simple way to start to open up the extrasensory abilities, because again, we're mostly made of water. We're in communion with water every day. Water's life. And also, since water never leaves, the intelligence of the wisdom of the ages is in the water. And so building that relationship with the water as a high level intelligence, in the ancient Egyptian, we come from water and we return to it. We come from it, we're made of it, we return to it. So communing with the water and sitting with the water, saying your gratitude, drinking the water, and just sitting and receiving. We have a tea practice over here too. So we sit with tea, and really having a more intentional relationship with the water. Sometimes I forget, but for the most of the time when I'm washing dishes, I'm also consciously saying thank you to the water as I'm cleansing myself and cleansing the home. You know, Veda Austin is doing a lot of really amazing work right now, carrying forward Masaru Emoto's work. And she's doing a lot of amazing work about how the intelligence of water, how it's very responsive and creative. So there's a first one, something that we're in communion with every day. We are doing water rituals every day, all day.
Yes. An invitation to become aware of when we are in communion with water, and I guess just bringing consciousness to that communion will open up things really naturally. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Another thing that piqued my interest when you're saying is like, we are living the prophecy right now. And I would love to just hear, your, like, I mean, different traditions have different prophecies. All of them kind of are escalating to the same moment in their own way. But maybe you can share from traditions that you've learned from, also from what you're receiving. What does this pinnacle mean for us? What is happening?
Well, it's one of my elders, grandmother Marza Malar, Two Clouds Meeting. She is the way that I met her actually was in, I think 2008 or 9. She held a prophecy council. And she brought in elders from all over the world, like the Karo tradition of the high Andes of Peru, and Maori and Hawaii, Acapulco, and there was local elders to North America, also just prophecy carriers, Hopi tradition, Flute Clan, Leroy Lewis. And then somehow through someone else, I got invited to represent our generation. And I'm like, so we did what we do was we did a ritual theater offering. But anyways, in that circle of prophecies, these in 2008, I believe, they were sharing their prophecies together. And it was like a time of learning. And in that time period, I came across this prophecy, the Shambhala prophecy by Joanna, brought forward. The way that I heard it was from Joanna Macy, and she received it in the Tashi Jang community in northern India, Chogyal Rinpoche. Dugo Chogyal Rinpoche. I have a hard time saying it. I'm learning how to say his name. That prophecy, the Shambhala prophecy, has really been my Gabriel's horn moment. So that prophecy, I encourage everybody to listen to it. I've listened to it at least 100 times. I listen to it all the time. It's one of the prophecies that I am still always learning from, because I was taught that prophecies are codes. And that the more we listen to a prophecy, different codes are revealed, and they awaken different parts inside of us. Sometimes with a prophecy, at least for me, I can only speak about my experience really. One aspect of the prophecy will teach me for a while. And then another aspect of the prophecy will teach me for a while. So anyways, this prophecy talks about this time where, at a time when the future of all life is hanging by a thread. And at this time when it feels like the barbarian forces are like laying waste the world, like what's happening in Ohio and Turkey, that at this time, there's these Shambhala warriors like hear this call, and they have no banner, they have no sign, they don't have any barrier to stand behind. They just feel the call to get up. This prophecy is so deep for me. They just feel the call to get up because they feel like it is time. And so the Shambhala warriors, they get up and they start moving across the lands. And in the prophecy, it says, they're forever moving across these lands that these barbarian forces are destroying, And but they get up because they know that so much of the world is manomaya. Things are made by the human mind, and they can be unmade by the human mind. And it's not because of some outside extraterrestrial force or some demonic energy that's taking over. It's because of our choices, our priorities, and our habits. And that we can unmake and shift the current trajectory that we're on. And then these Shambhala warriors, they receive this call, and it's almost like Gabriel's horn, the Archangel Gabriel, where he blows the horn and people just kind of wake up from the sleep. And they get up and they're here to serve. And I feel like that's happening right now. It's such a big level. And the prophecy says that they have two weapons. One weapon is the fiery heat of compassion to face the suffering of the world. And the other weapon is the insight and how interdependent everything is, the interdependence of all phenomena. And so they get up. It's like we get our marching orders and we're just here to serve and show up. And there's not one leader, there's not one person that leads everything. We step into our leadership and we support each other in the great wake up. Because it's better together. And we only need actually, at least in the technology of prayer, Greg Braden's work, and then my dear friend Bita and her work, we only need 10% of that wake up to be of service, and it sends a rippling effect. It's not that many people, you know? So that's obviously what I am here for, is that prophecy. And there's so much more to that prophecy. And I just really encourage everybody to listen to it. That was just like a little micro part of the whole thing. And, that's essentially what I'm in service to. And the Academy of Oracle Arts and everything we're doing is to wake up these extrasensory abilities to be able to listen, attune, pay attention, and serve.
So much. That's like I full body chills. I could feel the energy of it and the emotion of it. And what's the best way to read or receive this prophecy? Is it like a audio or
yeah, you can go to YouTube. Joanna Macy, amazing woman. Oh my God, she's just been such a guide for me. Just look up Joanna Macy and just look up the Shambhala prophecy. And receiving, it's really valuable to receive from her, because the way that she received it was from Chogyal Rinpoche. And the prophecies, what I've been taught is it's very important to listen to the prophecies in the way they were passed, in that order, because it's a code. So, I shared aspects of it, but the code from her is the full code. And that's it's important to listen to it in its fullness, in my opinion, from her.
And the code passed through you and through everyone listening here. So I feel like a lot was opened up just by that. So thank you for the transmission as well. I felt that. Thank you. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we are doing it. We are showing up, light workers on board. Let's do this. Let's do this great work without making it feel heavy, just exciting and fun and playful. And that brings me to like your theater that you're doing, because that's exciting. I would love to learn more about that if you feel aligned to transition into like what that is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ritual theater, the roots of ritual theater that we know of so far actually come from the Temple of Edfu in Egypt, in Kemet. And in the old, as far as I know, in my research, the old stories of ritual theater in Kemet in Egypt, there's a lot of sacred triads. One triad is, they really believe that a way to support awakening heaven on earth, or remembering heaven on earth, or creating heaven on earth, all of those things, is to literally replicate what's going on in the heavens and build it here. And so much of the, Egypt and Kemet is a reflection of the cosmos. And they, in this one tradition, believe that there were three ways to do that. And the first way is the cosmic resonance, attuning to how the stars move, how the planets move, how the cosmos works, and then how to commune and be in relationship with these cycles, cosmic resonance. And then the second one was the esoteric architecture. We're building the architecture of learning how to tend to light as it moves, whether it's the sun or the moon, and map the temples to replicate the cosmos. And then the third one is the theurgy, the ritual tradition to feed and tend to the temple, the cosmos, the land. And one of the ways they did that was through ritual theater. And ritual theater is to embody the principles of the divine, embody the principles of the cosmos, embody the principles of the natural world, and become the instruments for these stories to be brought forward that are helpful and necessary for the changing times as an offering to feed culture, feed the life force of creation, human and non-human. And theater came out of that. So really the roots of theater is ritual, but to feed and tend to all of those relationships. And so I've been I'm a student to this. I have been for a very long time. The way that I first started doing this was with the Oracle gatherings in 2001. That's where I first started. And then through the journey, and then my dear friend Eve, we've been doing ritual theater since about 2004. And it's been our life service work since then. And through studying Egypt and Kemet and really getting to know the original tradition of it and how to be the instruments for creation principles to be brought forward to serve and assist in the stories has been my greatest learning. Because also with ritual theater, I think we've been doing ritual theater since 2001. So however many that is, I don't even know. But what I've learned, and a lot of this is with Joseph Campbell, the myths are it's like learning how to live mythologically, where the myths start to tell their stories through us. And every ritual theater is a thread from the last one. So it's a story that kind of keeps weaving and weaving and weaving and weaving. And the Egyptian Nadu, that would be Neith, weaving this story that's a reflection of the last one that's tending to this one that informs what's coming. And so that's what we do. We embody whatever story wants to tell itself to us and through us. We embody those archetypes and we tell the story in a ritual theater environment. And then we feed culture and creation. We our goal is to be nourishment, good food. We want to be good food for creation. And then we offer this food to the divine, the natural, as humans.
I love it. I love it so much. That's so beautiful. And you're creating beauty for the divine. And also I feel like what's created, I don't know if this is something that is like shown, like other people get to like peer into that world.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's so inspiring to witness that.
It's deep. And it's always deep too for those that are, usually there's one initiate. Sometimes it changes, and then whomever is the initiate or whatever group is the initiate, then the whole story reveals itself in relationship to that person's initiation. Most of the time, not all the time.
Is it like choreographed beforehand, like people know, or is there some sort of like just deep listening of creation in the moment also?
Both. Both. The story is usually like the net to do of architecture would be Seshat. So I believe Seshat helps to architect the story. And we work within the Kabbalistic tree of life template, a blueprint of creation, and in the Hermetic tradition primarily. And then we follow that blueprint of creation with the different scenes. And some are very choreographed, but there's always a point where we don't know exactly how it's going to unfold. And that's part of it, because we leave space for the mystery to reveal herself in real time. Mm-hmm. Because we don't know, but, and we learn how to adapt and be the archetypes that we are to support that particular moment of when the mystery reveals itself. And actually, Eve and I are going to be presenting a course in the Academy coming up in June. It's an online year 1 ritual theater course to start to share the way that we've been taught, and the way that we're learning and growing with it. So that's really exciting. She's one of my longtime collaborators, Eve Bradford. We've been working together for over 20 years, one of my bestest friends. And it's that's what brought us together, was ritual theater. So, and real quick before I forget, the Oracle Arts Apprenticeship, you've asked a couple of times. I know I haven't answered that. So part of my job is to like serve based on listening and what's asked of me. And Maz and Laura and Roxanne and Sanya asked to be apprentices a few years ago. And I was like, apprentices to what? You know? And they're like, to you, the Oracle. And I was like, okay, well, you could apprentice with the Oracle. And then I'm happy to like be a steward for that. So the Oracle Arts Apprenticeship is this year now is a 9-month journey working through the blueprint of creation called the Tree of Life, from the terrestrial realm to the more subtle realms, and traveling through in relationship to 10 spheres of creation, or 10 emanations of the divine, and traveling for 9 months through the tree. And inside of that comes all kinds of things. We learn the art of ritual. We learn, we say HP work, high priest, high priestess work. We learn oracular work. We learn magicianship work. We learn about the archetypes in relationship to the major arcana of the tarot and the tree of life. We also learn the Hebrew letters. We learn ritual technologies. There's about 40 different rituals that have been divined from the board that get passed. So they're, rituals from the board. We learn the basics of intro to Kabbalah. I mean, we learn Kabbalah and the basics of the intro to Egyptian cosmology. And then really we learn about the divination board and how to work with the divination board. And then ritual theater. All kinds of things for 9 months. And it's really at the heart of what that is year one, because there's multiple years. Year one is the art of transformation, really, because the great work in the way I've been taught and the divine work is to transform. And through the art of transformation and be able to bring in more light from an infinite place, which is the sun, the cosmos, we transform and we keep transforming. And then we step more into our path of service to assist others in their journey of bringing in the light and returning to the light, And part of what the board has showed me over the years is part of the journey to be, for those that feel called to be a reader, to become a reader of the board, is to go through the transformation, to be a vessel, and to learn about how to be a clear instrument and vessel to sit and commune with the intelligence of the natural world and the divine. And then it ends in initiation. And then we have...
So it's 9 months and it's online. Is there ever a moment of meeting in person? Or?
Yep. It's 9 months. It starts at spring equinox is our first call. We have 7 immersions. 3 of them are in person. And I think April, September, and November are in person, which is amazing because we also do ritual theater. We offer it to the whole community. The rest of them are online, and we have guest teachers. Normandy's been a guest teacher many times. We bring in like 10 different guest teachers also. And it's really about the cultivation of a magical current, a current, a thought form, because whomever comes into alignment, there's, I like to think of the Indra's net, we're all multifaceted jewels, and we're like one multifaceted jewel in the web of jewels. And at every, part of the jewel, you see all the rest of the jewels. And so we polish each other up so we can see in all these directions and open up all these gates. And that's part of the value of staying in a circle, in a current for a period of time, is so that we re-deepen and we polish each other up to help each other out in the web. And then we start learning how to make offerings. And the art of offering is a big part of this, making offerings,
And so your next course starts spring equinox, and it's 9 months. And I'm going to just include in the comments, in the link, like in the description below, I'll share links to the Academy of Oracle Arts. And I know you also have just like courses as well, like kind of intro courses to all of this, things that are like more go at your own pace. And you can find all that on Academy of Oracle Arts as well. I kind of skimmed through that before, and it's like, whoa, so much good stuff on there. Super.
And then Ritual Community too, which is our membership journey, where Ritual Community is a mighty network, and we go on a journey through the seasons in that way too. And it's in less intense as the Oracle Arts Apprenticeship, but where we explore a lot of different facets of consciousness and ecology and study. Like recently, we just had one of my great inspirations, Rowan White, who's an indigenous seed keeper. She did a class on indigenous seed keeping and the importance of seeds recently. So, we really do our best to provide information and education and mystery teachings and earth wisdom tradition teachings. As we try to do our best to provide what can be very helpful and useful for this time.
Thank you. And what's the format of that? It's like a monthly membership and they get access to all the content that you guys are sharing in that month, including guest speakers. And are you going live on there as well from time to time? Or?
Yep. I'll sometimes facilitate new moon rituals or live divination, community divination readings. I'll teach on there too. It's really amazing journey. It's year round. And so there's a lot of different ways with the Academy of Oracle Arts and Ritual community to study and train and develop. And then we also do this thing called the Compass at Lightning in a Bottle. Lightning in a Bottle is a festival in California and Bakersfield. And we curate all the education for that. And so we bring in different speakers like Vandana Shiva, she's come, and Paul Stamets is coming back, and all different teachers and educators from all over the world. And to provide, the reason why it's called the Compass, the Oracle actually gave me this vision, the crystal ball. The reason why it's called the Compass, Eve and I came up with that name together and started that, and Jesse, is to help people find direction. And so we provide a lot of different education and all different ways to assist people in the culture in finding a direction or a pathway of service or pathway of learning. So that's kind of our offering in the festival environment.
When is that festival, by the way?
End of May 24th to the 29th.
Wow, nice. It's happening.
And then there's Egypt. Let's not forget Egypt.
Yes. So, okay, because of time, I would love just to like enter into the world of Egypt a tiny bit before we kind of close. But we'd love for you to maybe like one question that is like pressing, like so many people are feeling the call to Egypt right now, and something happens. Like I've witnessed it and I've experienced it. Like some kind of alchemy happens in the land of Chem when you walk those lands, and maybe just like your interpretation or why does that happen, and why are people feeling the call? Like why Egypt? And then go ahead and share about the epic magical journeys that you guide through there.
Well, I feel like Egypt's sending out its call. It's like a beacon. And, I love studying ancient civilizations. I love the work of Graham Hancock specifically, of course, don't we all? And a lot of the ancient civilizations facilitators and leaders. And I really like this feeling of we got to going backwards, really getting to know as much as we can about who we really are. Helps us transform and wake up in ways that we are learning how to do. We got to go back to go forward in some ways to learn about who we really are. We're way older than what we've been told. And I feel like Egypt is sending out a beacon call. So much of us have a lot to learn there. And the fact that not only what we talked about earlier of the, building heaven on earth, remembering heaven on earth, cultivating heaven on earth, their ancient relationship with these temples, the light, the stars. Like I remember reading about and learning about how even the Nile, the life-giving waters of the Nile, that the Nile travels up. And at one point it would separate into 7 tributaries. And the god of the Nile, Hapi, one of them, Anuketu and Khnum. But when you would make offerings and prayers into the Nile, they believe that when the Nile would travel up, it's the blue Nile and the white Nile come together from Uganda, Ethiopia through Khartoum, and they form the Nile, and they separate into, at one point it was 7. They called it the 7 Hathors, the 7 Hetert tributaries. And then when you'd make a prayer and offering in the Nile, they believed that those prayers and offerings would travel to all the bodies of water all across the earth. And so many of their offerings and their prayers was to feed and nourish and nurture all of the natural world and the terrestrial and the celestial realms. And they lived through working with soil, chem, alchemy, black, fertile soil, like rich, dark, fertile soil that life creates from, and what we compost in. We compost in, we turn the soil, we plant a seed, and then the seed goes towards the light and then grows again. That we're all Osiris, we're all Osir. And part of why I think Kemet, Egypt is calling people towards it again is because in the story of Osiris, Osir, Sar, part of that whole story, that whole mythology is just such a beautiful story. The whole mythology is laid out all over the temples, all over the lands, is to bring the dismembered parts back together into wholeness, which is what we're doing. And I feel like part of why so many people are feeling the call there is to commune, learn, hopefully make offerings rather than just try to mine and take from it. To commune, learn, return to some of the ancestral homelands of all of us, or remember this aspect, this part of, remember who we really are, and wake up all of that awe, wonder, mystery, magnificence. I mean, just to gaze upon the Great Pyramid alone. And that's just one place in the entire, all the lands, you can't help but be in awe of the great mystery and the magic and the wonder, which is so needed right now, because mystery and wonder and awe is the birthplace for imagination. And imagination is what I believe we want to care for and tend to, because that's where all emergent ideas come from, that support our journey of becoming. Because this is that moment where what I've been taught is there's so many destinies laid before us. And this is where we personally and collectively start to attune to what destiny we're calling forward, or what destiny we're feeding and nurturing for all of the generations moving forward, to the best of our ability to make that kind of offering. So I feel like Kemet, Egypt is helping us with that. So we go every year, sometimes twice a year. We went twice this year, and we go there to make offerings. That's it. We go there to make offerings. And
be part of this school to go, or it's open for anyone who's interested to join?
It's open for anyone who's interested to join. We are learning through our team over there. We're actually going to be releasing an Egyptian cosmology series this year, because we're realizing that it's helpful to have some context, and oftentimes, our journeys are 2 to 3 weeks, and we really follow the journey of the initiate. We follow a very specific mapping system that we were taught. And, we're very blessed with, every time through our offerings, what gets revealed. And we've been learning along the way I have an Egyptian family over there. We work together on this, that we really want to offer more courses and classes beforehand, so that when people go, they have some kind of context, because it can be a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we met there 3 times now. I know we met there, and honestly, every time I'm like, have I even been here before? It's like a brand new place, the temples. I'm like, it's just so new every time. And it was interesting landing in Egypt this time in December. I was even considering, I think my time in Egypt for now is done. Like I feel like the work is complete for now. And then my partner and I, we landed on the runway, and it was almost like comical. Like the country was like laughing, and they're like, you haven't even scratched the surface. Like, you have no idea. Like, the journey has just begun for you. And I was like, whoa, okay. And it was a whole new experience. Like, I just, was in so much awe of the infinite layers of mystery and magic. And this is just one more question that's coming through. There's like ancient civilizations that kind of were present all over the world. Do you think it's so strong in Egypt because it's just this preservation of it? That is like
That's a long answer. Like, how do I say that? I mean, I feel like what's valuable, well, the interconnected, interdependent web of relationships with the stone beings, like the crystal ball and the stones in the temples, granite and limestone, these stone beings, and the magnificence of these stone beings all over the world too, like all the different pyramids and sacred sites. What I find, at least from this time, as long as Kemet Egypt wants me to help or serve or tend or learn and grow and evolve, whatever that land wants of me at this time, for me going there is I learned so much about how our divine human nature tended to the land we're learning. The land's intense there right now. But through this history and the stories and work like Norman D. Ellis and all these important texts, learning about the relationship with the terrestrial, the celestial, and the netherworld, and learning about all of those relationships, the divine, the human, and the natural, the architecture, the cosmic resonance, and the theurgy, the ritual, how intricate, interdependent it is, and how it's still there. And they're everywhere. Mahmoud, one of my son's grandpa, my family over there, he's like, we were in Luxor. Every time we're in Luxor, he's like, anywhere you dig, Isis, there is something there. They're still uncovering. Also Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and, all over the world. And then what's just so fascinating about Kemet and Egypt too, is that they're just finding so much. And as so much is being revealed, we start to learn more about who we are and where we come from. And it wakes up these, more access to these extrasensory abilities, this innate wisdom inside of us that's really helpful and relevant for this time. We need it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And when are you going this year?
We're about to release our next dates. It's looking like usually we go December and January, but we might just go twice in January and February. We're going to release our dates in about a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's usually about a 2-week journey, a 3-week journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely a commitment. Yeah. But, it's called Egypt initiation because it's the Kemet initiation. It's the journey of the initiate.
Oh gosh. So much. I feel like we need to get onto another podcast at some point, just talk Egypt and talk about the initiatory path and all the juicy things. But due to time, I'm going to say time and timing. Thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself and wisdom and your heart. It's been really, like, at least for me, like such a joy and pleasure and excitement, inspiration to listen. And I'm curious in so many ways. For those listening and those people who want to learn more with Isis, I'm going to just provide all of her links below. And so you can click and discover and explore. In spring equinox, she's starting the initiatory journey. Ritual community is something you can just join at any moment, I imagine. And then also I would highly suggest people are just curious, like going on to Academy of Oracle Arts. They have a beautiful Instagram page and also their website. You can check out beautiful courses just to learn more and get a flavor, a taste more of. So Isis, thank you so much. Before I ask you to do a closing prayer, is there anything else that feels really alive that wants to be shared before we close?
Well, thank you. I've been just having such an amazing time, and it's really nice to spend time with you this way specifically. And last year, I just want to share that I was learning about the Phoenix in a new way. I've always been a student of the Phoenix. And I learned recently that in one Chinese tradition that there's a dragon phoenix. And the dragon is the yang aspect, and the phoenix is the yin aspect. And that I feel like,
the yin. Phoenix is
in this particular lineage. Uh-huh. And there's a lot of different aspects of Phoenix, but in this particular one. And it was just, I was wanted to share, I feel like this is a Phoenix moment for our culture. our species. And part of what I feel like about this is that part of this Phoenix moment is the commitment and the discipline to rise and tend, particularly in our own minds and our hearts. And in that way, being really attuned to, how what we imagine, what we think, that becomes our word and our deeds, our actions, our habits, behavior, are what create our destinies. And how much we can help each other with that line of manifestation. And that it can happen in a more yin way, and that, this year of the black rabbit, the yin rabbit, I love the feeling of a yin phoenix. I feel like we came through this last year was strong, at least for me and for a lot of my relations. And that this year in our journey of rising back up again, it can be yin. And some of the birds in this particular story of this lineage they're related to the phoenix or the herons and cranes. And so just want to acknowledge the heron here too, and the grace and the yin and the beauty of the heron and water birds. And may this time this year be nourishing, nourish ourselves, nourish each other, and strengthen this, culture of belonging in our journey of becoming. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you here to the holy ones. Follow the 8 directions and the 3 worlds, all of the Netaru, the divine principles of creation. And also thank you to the Oracle and the Oracle Council and the spirit of this podcast, the heart of this podcast. And also to you, Bianca, and your vision and how you're tending to your vision and bring forward such beauty in this podcast. And thank you to all the holy ones of this celestial realms and the terrestrial realm, and all of our benevolent elevated ancestors, guides, and allies, our guardian angels too, and that have brought us together. May everything that was shared here be useful, be helpful, be beneficial, be practical, be of service, and integrate with grace and ease to assist our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our spirits, our relations, and in that way assist in a beautiful rippling effect into all of creation on behalf of the liberation of all beings and the upliftment of all beings, human and non-human, for many generations into the future. Ognatadu, 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 blessed be, and so it is.
So much, Isis, for joining me today. I'm so excited for this to reach so many hearts and inspire so many people. It was such a blast, and I'm just grateful to be in relation, truly. Like you said, it's this time of doing it all together, and I'm just having visions all the time of having you here in Costa Rica super soon. So
Wait.
So thank you, Isis. And again, if you want to connect with Isis, there's going to be information below. If you're listening to this on a different medium, then what's the best way to connect, Isis, if they're listening to this on Spotify or something?
Yeah, Instagram. And I can post this link on Instagram also. But yeah, once you send it to me, I'll post it on Instagram and you can link there. Isis_Indriya, Indriya. There's a lot of fakes right now following me. So or copying the term or whatever. So it's Isis_Indriya, and we'll put this in the link.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a beautiful day. Thank you, Isis.